Hi Pumas! I'm gonna read you I Am Amelia Earhart by Brad Meltzer. This is a good one. I liked Amelia Earhart a lot when I was a little girl. I am Amelia Earhart. When I was a little girl, people told me that girls should wear dresses and play with dolls. They said we shouldn't have unladylike adventures. I didn't agree. Grandma's not gonna be happy. In fact, when I was 7 years old, my sister and I decided to build our own roller coaster in our backyard. We placed 2 planks of wood up against the side of our tool shed. The cab was a wooden packing box with roller skate wheels attached to the bottom. We greased the wood with lard so we would move super fast. Amelia, are you sure this is a good idea? This isn't a good idea. It's the best idea. Of course, I got to ride first. This was my moment. Here we go. In 3, 2, I still remember the wind in my face. My stomach seemed to sink. I was flying. Amelia Earhart, take this apart this instant. The crash was loud and noisy and messy. It certainly wasn't ladylike, but it was awesome. That was awesome! It wasn't the last time I would fly. I got older. As I got older, I went to many air shows. When I was 23 years old, but still a kid at heart, my dad took me to meet Frank Hawks, a man who would eventually set many of his own flight records. For $10, Hawks agreed to take me on my very first flight. For 10 minutes, we flew through the sky and out over the Pacific Ocean. By the time I was 200 or 300 feet off the ground, I knew one thing. I had to fly. To save for my flying lessons, I worked as a truck driver, which wasn't ladylike either. Move it, Mac. A stenographer, which is a fancy schmancy word for someone who writes down what people say. Say snook, and even a photographer. 6 months after I learned to fly, I bought a bright yellow used biplane that I named Canary. Canary is a cool name for a plane, right? This is my instructor, a woman named Netta Snook. That's her real name. But here's my secret. I wasn't a natural. I wasn't the best pilot. I just worked harder than anyone else. That's enough flying for today. No, I can do better. One more flight. Most important, like that day on the roller coaster, I dared to do what so many said couldn't be done. A girl flying across the Atlantic. Amelia, you sure this is a good idea? This isn't a good idea. It's the best idea. I became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean, and then the first woman to fly by myself across the Atlantic Ocean. Back then, people took boats to get to Europe, sailing for weeks. Planes were still a new thing. In fact, on the day I took off, one magazine ran an article that said women would never be able to fly that far. But I did. To do it, I had to fly for 14 hours and 56 minutes with no rest, no break. Sometimes the sun was so blinding I could barely see where I was going. In the process, I broke the record for crossing the ocean in the shortest time, doing it faster than any man or woman ever. This is awesome! In October 1922, I broke the women's altitude record by rising to 14,000 feet. And in July 1930, I set a speed record for over 181 miles per hour. Then I broke an altitude record, which is just a fancy schmancy way of saying I went higher than anyone else. How high did I go? About 12 Empire State Buildings straight up at a time when no woman had ever gone that high. In my life, I took many flights. Every single time there was someone who said that I wouldn't be able to do it. Never let anyone stop you. Whatever your dream is, chase it, work hard for it, and you will find it. It is the best lesson I can give you. I am Amelia Earhart. I know no bounds, and I hope you'll remember that the greatest flight you'll ever take is the one no one has tried before. Never interrupt someone doing what they said couldn't be done. Amelia Earhart. That's a picture of Amelia Earhart. And here's some other pictures of Amelia. You see her when she was a kid? She was only 7 there, so she's like a lot of you second graders, right? And here she is with her first plane. Oh, here's Canary. Here's the real Canary. And there's Amelia getting ready for flight. Here's another one of, oh, that's Frank. That's the one who first took her up in an airplane. And then here is Netta, who taught her how to fly. I hope you guys enjoyed the book. That was Amelia Earhart. Bye, Pumas.